Imagine a floating steel box, drifting in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Inside are 147 people. 3 are already dead. 1 is fighting for their last breath. This isn't a Hollywood movie. This is the MV Hondius, a luxury expedition ship that has become a pariah, rejected by every port, carrying a virus with one of the highest mortality rates on the planet. And one of the world's biggest YouTubers, Ruhi Çenet, escaped it just in time. Today, we uncover the terrifying truth of the Andes strain. This once luxurious expedition ship was rejected by every port, unable to dock due to the unseen threat it carried. The MV Hondius was carrying a virus with one of the highest mortality rates on the planet, turning a vacation into a floating nightmare. But before the worst of the crisis hit, a small window of opportunity allowed one person to get off the ship. One of the world's biggest YouTubers, Ruhi Çenet, managed to escape this catastrophe just in time. Today, we finally uncover the terrifying truth of the Andes strain. Welcome to ACT2, the Expedition of Dreams. It began on April 1st, April Fool's Day, the beginning of an adventure that would quickly turn into a nightmare. The MV Hondius, a Dutch-flagged vessel, set sail from Ushuaia, Argentina, the literal end of the world. For the passengers, some of whom paid up to 22,000 euros a seat, this was the ultimate adventure. Their itinerary included South Georgia, Antarctica, and the most isolated settlement on Earth, Tristan da Cunha. But the adventure turned into a nightmare on April 6th. A 70-year-old Dutch passenger began to show signs of a common flu. His symptoms included chills, weakness, and difficulty breathing, a terrifying and rapid decline. By April 11th, just 5 days after the first symptoms, the passenger was dead. As the body count rose, a sense of dread began to spread throughout the vessel. The ship's doctor told the passengers there was no infection risk. They were safe, they said, maintaining a facade of calm. But then, the man's wife fell ill. Same symptoms, the same terrifying, rapid decline. As the ship approached St. Helena, the realization began to sink in. Something was hunting them from the inside. Welcome to ACT3, the silent killer. Our story continues with an escalating crisis that demands immediate, intense action. The widow was evacuated to a high-security infectious disease center in Johannesburg. On April 26th, despite the world's best efforts, she died. Then came the results of the PCR test. The moment of truth arrived, confirming their worst fears with authoritative and shocking clarity. This wasn't just mouse fever, this seemingly simple diagnosis they initially suspected. This was the Andes strain, a name that brought dread to the scientific community. What makes the Andes strain terrifyingly unique among its viral cousins? Most hantaviruses are only spread by breathing in dust from rodent droppings, a common environmental hazard. But the Andes variant is different. It is the only one known to spread directly from human to human. Listen to these numbers, which highlight the extreme danger of Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, or HPS. The mortality rate for Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome is a staggering 38% to 50%. To put that in perspective, at the height of COVID-19, the global death rate was roughly 2%. If you catch this, your chances of survival are literally a coin flip. Inside the body, the virus is brutal. Let's look at how it destroys the host from within. It attacks the very lining of your blood vessels, undermining the body's entire circulatory system. Your capillaries begin to leak fluid into your lungs, a devastating consequence of the vascular damage. You don't just get sick, you slowly drown from within, an agonizing and drawn-out fate. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, is the complete lack of medical defense against this virus. There is no vaccine to prevent it, leaving populations unprotected. And most tragically, there is no cure to treat it once the infection takes hold. Welcome to ACT4, the escalation, where we draw a terrifying parallel between history and the crisis unfolding now. This isn't the first time a ship has brought Europe to its knees, carrying a deadly unseen threat. In 1347, a ship arrived in Sicily filled with nothing but corpses and rats. That was the Black Death. The historical scale of that disaster is staggering. The Black Death wiped out 1/3 of Europe. Today, a modern vessel is drawing these dark comparisons as the world watches in fear. The MV Hondius is being called the Death Ship, or the Black Ship, because of the infection raging on board. The ship was turned away from Cape Verde because their local hospitals were too weak to handle an outbreak of this scale. The panic and resistance from the public signal a deep fear of history repeating itself. As it steered toward Tenerife in the Canary Islands, the destination was met with immediate, visceral opposition. Local residents took to the streets in protest. They recognized the same danger, seeing the ghosts of 2020 returning to their shores. The big question remains: how did a highly infectious strain get onto a luxury cruise in the first place? Investigators have been working tirelessly to trace the origins of the onboard outbreak. It is now believed a Dutch couple may have been infected while sightseeing in Argentina or Chile before they even stepped onto the ship. With the potential for a new global threat, the race is now on to contain the Andes strain. Governments from 20 different countries are scrambling to repatriate their citizens from the quarantined vessel. Military hospitals in Madrid are being prepped with high-level isolation units, anticipating the arrival of infected passengers. The personal stakes are incredibly high for everyone involved, especially those trapped on board. Passengers face up to 45 days of strict isolation, a grueling period necessary to ensure containment. One mistake, one broken quarantine, and the highly contagious Andes strain could reach the mainland, triggering an event we've all hoped to avoid. Welcome to The Invisible Threat, the Hantavirus ticking clock, where we explore the terrifying climax of this health crisis. We've reached the final act, the invisible threat of the Hantavirus, and the race against time to contain it. The clock is ticking for everyone involved, especially for those still under strict quarantine. The incubation period is the key factor complicating this crisis, forcing a prolonged, agonizing wait. For Hantavirus, that incubation period can tragically extend up to 8 long weeks. This means passengers who feel perfectly fine today could actually be carrying a ticking time bomb deep within their lungs. But the threat is no longer contained. We now face the nightmare of global spread. Here is the most terrifying detail. At least 40 passengers had already disembarked before the full quarantine was enforced. They have now flown to major hubs, including the UK, the Netherlands, Taiwan, and the United States. The World Health Organization is now desperately tracing these individuals across the globe, praying they didn't bring the Andes strain home with them. In the face of global uncertainty, old questions and new theories inevitably rise to the surface. Is it a coincidence that Moderna has been working on an mRNA hantavirus vaccine since 2024? For some, the timing is too perfect, and conspiracy theorists are already sounding the alarm about hidden agendas. But for the passengers still trapped in their cabins, fear and speculation fade into a starker reality. For them, reading, watching movies, and just trying to stay sane, the only thing that matters, the only victory, is taking the next breath. This is the final act, the emotional payoff and the call to action, bringing our journey on the MV Hondius to a close. The emotional aftermath of the MV Hondius tragedy is profound, especially for those who narrowly escaped. Ruhi Çenet, who left the ship just 24 hours before the second death, says the experience has truly shaken him to his core. He knew these people. He ate with them. He talked with them. The victims were more than just names. They were colleagues and friends. Now let's take a moment for some final thoughts and a deeper reflection on what this tragedy means for us all. The MV Hondius is a stark reminder of how fragile our world really is. A single microorganism can turn a dream vacation into a floating tomb. But it also shows the power of global cooperation. Scientists from South Africa, Spain, and the WHO working together to stop a pandemic before it starts. This crisis demands we turn our gaze inward and ask ourselves some difficult questions. The world wasn't ready for the last one. Are we ready for this? Think about that for a moment. It's time for our call to action. Get involved and stay informed. If you want to stay updated on this developing crisis, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. You won't want to miss the full documentary Ruhi Çenet is diligently preparing, offering an in-depth look at this entire ordeal. Remember, this story is far from over. There are many chapters yet to unfold. As we conclude, please take these final words to heart. Stay safe. Watch the horizon. Be vigilant. Thank you for joining us on this journey. See you in the next one.